Hi, I'm Jerry the Free Spirit. I'm back again.
Hey, what's up? I'm the artist known as Africas.png.
I'm also an artist called Sit and Say.
I feel like it gets longer and shorter every episode.
Yeah, it has to vary. Variation is the spice of
How many
life.
seconds do you like time?
There's a system.
No, it's not a system. It's not a system. Depends on my voice. It depends on my voice. This week I'm feeling, very short.
Summary. I see the look.
Yes, very short.
The sticks are out.
Yes,
That's cold. Oh my goodness.
No, haven't you heard that statement?
No, literally never.
I said that about my own legs.
Literally never.
Ow.
Actually, and I've said this before when I was really scared.
The
Ow.
sticks are out. That's in my tongue. It's wild. Okay.
Oh, you
anyway.
take it to a whole new level, my way. Anyway, Daniel, you look cool in summary.
Okay.
You do look cool, man.
Alright.
No, you look great, man.
Okay.
Anyway, continuing on. So today we got a whole lot of interesting things on the menu. Digital jobs.
Digital jobs.
Yeah,
What are
working
digital jobs?
digitally.
Oh, working digitally. Okay.
Yeah, it's basic. I think it's a pretty broad spectrum. It goes from anything from like creative work, illustration, graphic design, logo design, anything under the design area. So you're making websites, video games, all that kind of stuff. And then it actually also goes into things like farming. Yeah, you can do, there's like digital farming solutions. There's automotive stuff, designing things for cars, designing the robots that they use to make cars. What else? Logistics, designing GPS systems for hauling trucks, myriad of things. And that's only recently getting more popular in Africa because we're now developing to where the West was a couple years ago.
So now we've caught up to the rest of the world, or we're catching up?
I mean, we're still catching up.
Still catching up.
We still got a bit of a ways to go, but we're getting there. This is, I think, a time where a lot of the world is trying to invest in Africa, which is a fun time because they're giving us a whole bunch of money. It's not like it's coming directly to us, but
unfortunately.
it's coming to the country,
Yes.
or the continent.
The continent.
The countries. Yeah.
Okay, so go on. My point will come back. It's just
okay.
Okay. For me, right, since I am one of these people, right?
A digital artist, yes.
A digital artist.
And now a podcaster. Look at you.
So, like I was saying, I feel like there's a lack of understanding as to how the whole how digital careers actually work. Because if you were to probably explain it to someone who has no idea that this thing actually exists, they'll be like, oh, so we're just doing this at home. Because understand that the joys, for the most part, right, at least for the industry that I'm in as a freelancer, right, for the joys of it is that I can work at home, I can supervise a lot of things, and I don't necessarily need to worry about the house catching on fire because of certain miscellaneous shenanigans, right? That can happen. It has happened before. Not to me though. Not to me though. Not to me though.
Word, okay.
Yeah. So those are the joys that are there for digital art, but again, it's still gonna take a while to kind of educate people to realize that the office job isn't necessarily a mandate for you to actually make an income or to make a living.
Yeah, it's definitely not the only way to make money.
Yes.
No, it isn't.
Especially since we now have influencers, right? We have a lot of companies. Well, we're still trying to catch up to that, but in like South Africa, like Kenya, etc.
We do have some influencers over here.
We have a lot of influencers.
Tina Boy, Miss Red, the radio guys are basically influencers.
Yes. No, like we have those influencers, right? But then we don't have people who are willing to. Okay, no, we don't have companies, right? Especially who are willing to.
Well, like sponsor them.
Yes, we're willing to
But
sponsor
they
them.
do. Radio is sponsored.
No, but then do you know what? Okay, so I want to ask, isn't I consider Miss Red a celebrity more than an influencer? What's the difference
where's the
between
line?
an influencer and a celebrity? In my opinion, I believe an influencer can just be a regular person who not everybody knows. It's like an e-celeb.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Like,
an
if
influencer will be
you're-
an online celebrity.
Yeah, an online celebrity. Don't necessarily, you can't walk into a room and like everyone knows who you are. Miss Red for me is like if she comes into this room, regardless whether you listen to the radio or not, you're gonna know who she is.
I guess.
So it's
there is
easier
that
for her.
difference,
I
yeah.
think what he's trying to say is easier for her to get
Sponsorship.
sponsorship because she's a bigger public
Yes.
figure
Mm-hmm.
as compared to
The average Joe who's
the
just
average
trying
with her tiny
yes.
YouTube channel
or
with
TikTok.
30,000 people, but still it's not like
It
it's
doesn't
not like
translate
brands are
to
looking at it
Zimbabwe.
saying,
I see.
let's give her some money because maybe she doesn't have that much influence. Maybe she's just known by a small group of people.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
But it's like those small people that can actually contribute to what
Those
kind
are
of
the people with the money.
yeah, yes. Because if you can target an ordinary person, right, who's starting out a YouTube channel, right, or a TikTok, and they are, let's say, being sponsored by a company, right, and showing them, oh, this is what this thing can do. This is the benefits, not necessarily the benefits, because now that's sounding very corporate, right? But if that person can actually show the world that they like this product because of this, and this, I feel like it's going to benefit a lot of these companies a bit more. Because now this ordinary Joe is now talking to other ordinary Joes rather than a celebrity, because that gap is no longer there. The only gap that's between the influencer, right, and the audience is just the phone. Rather than the celebrity where now they have kind of...
That's very
Whole
true.
team working behind me.
Yeah.
That's very true. Influencer marketing is a big thing, and I think it's one of the...
It's an untapped market in Zim, I believe.
In Zim, it is quite untapped, but in the Western world, I think it's one of the things they're honing in on.
In South Africa.
Yeah, in South Africa as well.
so
Oh, yeah.
people
that's
are
very
living
true.
off just content creation.
Yes.
Buying houses, cars, doing the
Yeah.
most, being flown.
Gaming
wherever.
PCs.
Exactly.
That would make sense. They
But
do
in
have
Zim,
a...
people are working hard and
It's just our economy is a bit different than South Africa, and I think a good thing that is happening, I think it's been happening for the past couple of years. It's called the AFCTFA. It is really long name. Where is it? If I can find it on my phone, the African Continental Free Trade Area. So it's, I'm gonna paraphrase a lot of this because a lot of it's like technical jargon that will put everyone to sleep, and I'm not trying to do that. But it's basically creating a single market that's projected to grow to 1.7 billion people and $6.7 trillion in consumer and business spending by 2030. So
Those are big brain numbers.
so in about
7 years.
7 years, we should be seeing the fruits of this. Well, actually, no. Within that 7 years, it should then be.
so does that mean from that document that we can trade freely within Africa?
I think it's to then remove some of the borders that have been put on Africa throughout throughout history, you know, and it then allows people to trade freely, like you said.
Within Africa.
Yeah. It's to bolster Africa's economy.
I like that.
So then it's the four sectors they're working with, as far as I remember, are agriculture, automotive.
Manufacturing.
I think that's under automotive. I'm not sure, but there are two others as well that I'm forgetting. I think I'll find them and come back to it. But the really interesting bit about all this is the digital side of it. Because now that remote jobs are much more accessible, a lot more kids have phones, laptops, and whatnot. They can work a lot earlier and from their rooms. Like, you know, on school holidays, you know, people can get hired for all kinds of jobs online, and this is facilitating that.
Yeah.
A lot of e-commerce stuff is what they're trying to teach people about. That's why there are a lot of grants that are going around, like Scripts and Bars was a thing. The Culture Fund was a thing. So these grants are trying to teach young creators and young digital creators how to monetize their skills. You know, and that it's a big push coming from the West to bring Africa into the forefront. You know.
Wow, I'm here for it.
I think it's good. There are a
Yes.
lot of things that can happen from this.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment, I mean, I guess it's happening. You said 2030, so
Yeah,
that's
the agreement
not
was
too long.
signed in 2021, so they've already started making progress in this
Okay.
past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few examples. You would in the Comexposed group. There are a lot of freelancers.
Oh yes.
Yes. So how does the freelance thing work? You just go on a site and you look for jobs. I'm asking because you guys are in this space.
Yeah, if it was that easy, eh?
Yeah, that is about it, really.
Yeah, that is about it. But like you make it sound so easy. That's the worst part about it.
That's the simplest thing to way to
So
say
is
it.
there specific websites for?
There are
Various
specific
websites.
websites, yes.
Okay.
There are very specific websites that you can go to, like Fiverr, Freelancer,
Upwork.
etc. Upwork as well, where you as a freelancer, by the way, please pay attention here. You as a freelancer, right, can actually post your work and show your clients that you are capable of doing this. Pretty much a place where you can, showcase your portfolio, right, on what you've worked on and what you are capable of doing, right, and telling clients that I'm capable of doing this for a specific price. It differs from website to website because Upwork and Fiverr kind of have a different type of way of marketing your stuff, right? But it's essentially the same thing where you are showing your product, right? Be it you're an artist, a UX or UI designer, filmmaker, etc., right?
Oh, so these websites are not sector specific.
They're not sector specific. That's the fun part about it. They're for freelancers.
Right.
So it doesn't
okay,
matter
in
where
any
you're
case.
freelancing
Okay.
for as long as you aren't really, for as long as you're working independent-ish.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll link these websites in the description box. I think it's very important for people because maybe someone doesn't know where to start.
A lot of people tend to first start off on like use social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter.
How does that work?
That it's a bit more difficult. Okay, Fiverr, Upwork, and the rest are difficult in terms of how to set up a fan base and whatnot. But if you can show your skill, right there, you have not just the skill but a lot of credentials and referrals. You have an easier time to kind of make it there. With social media, it's more engagement.
So
right.
social media is where you market yourself.
Yes,
You
it's where you
someone
market
sees
yourself.
you and
Yes,
says,
yes. Social. Okay, if I was to put it in a way, right? Social media is where you market yourself as a creative, right? Then these freelance websites are where you market your product. By product, I mean your services. Yes.
Isn't that the same as what you're doing on social media?
No, not really. Not really. You'd be surprised how different that kind of thing is. Because when you're marketing yourself, right, you're marketing you as a person. You as a person are showing your skill, right? Whereas this project that you're showing right now, right, it is now separate from you. You're not attached to it. There's like that kind of attachment that's there between you, right, showing you as a person, and then showing your skill. Yes, the attachment is where it matters now.
So with high data costs in Zimbabwe, because we all feel it.
Let's not talk about that.
And also just high data costs plus,
Just enjoy
what's the other thing that
inconsistent electricity.
electricity plus going back to the data thing. Sometimes it's not always on the up and up. Like I've had fights with Egonet where it's like not working. You're trying to upload something and it will take you hours if at all you succeed.
And other times
How is that affecting? Because now you found your client on Fiverr and you've been given a timeline.
Yeah.
And then Econet does its thing.
Sometimes the best thing is communicating with your client.
Yes.
To make sure that they're aware of your situation and what's going on, so that you can tell them, hey, I've had a power cut. This is where I'm at with the progress. I'll resume once the power is back, etc., etc. Just keep letting them know what's going on.
And that is very important as a freelancer, right?
Communication.
Or anything that refers, like anything that's digital, it's communication, right?
And then, so do you tell the clients this while you've started the job, or do you just tell them in advance?
It's best to tell them in advance.
and
If
say this could happen,
Yeah.
but then aren't you scared that it could also make you
It
unattractive?
does scare them
yeah,
away.
it does
They'll be
scare
like,
them away.
You know what? I can get someone else who has electricity 24/7 and data 24/7.
I guess as
What do you do?
a digital creator, we have to then make concessions for our jobs. You know how a construction company will buy construction equipment.
Yes.
So we have to buy equipment that facilitates us having electricity all the time and Wi-Fi all the time.
You go
So
to
get
Afro
solar,
Diesel,
you know,
Or
get
go-
solar or go to Afrotopia, go to 8 to 5.
Yes.
They have like for $5 a day,
Yeah.
full access to the thing. You have Wi-Fi, you got food in there. You know, you can really work and get your stuff done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those compromises are actually what now matter in like freelancing because nothing really goes as planned, right?
Exactly.
Nothing really goes as planned, especially if you get commissioned by another client. Maybe it's a client from, a company. Maybe your client is a company, right? A huge company that wants to use this for marketing purposes, right? or you are there as part of the marketing team, right? But you're working remotely, right? You are going to face a lot of issues, especially if you are in a country like ours where there are a lot of these issues, right? So the best way to do it is, yes, you can adjust to that, right? But at the same time, create a workflow that kind of not just dodges it, but kind of accommodates for those shortcomings, so that when those shortcomings actually happen, right, it's just a quick, okay, I'll just take plan C. And
and that's true. I used to do that. When I was working on New Africa last year on chapter 1, this also would go very consistently. So I decided when it goes, I'll just draw on paper.
Yeah,
which solved quite a few problems.
It can be different from what for whoever is doing the thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be limited to us artists, because we're speaking from an artist perspective. But again, it applies anywhere and everywhere for as long as you are in this, field.
Yeah, that's true. That's
yes.
true.
So I have another question for you guys.
Yeah, what up?
As freelancers,
What's good?
how many jobs can you take at a time? Because and like your income is not. It's not consistent.
Yeah, it's as consistent as you are.
You are. So
if you're constantly looking for work, you'll find something.
Exactly. Yes. So if someone said to you, "You're working on a project already for me," and then Daniel comes and is like, "Yo, I want this done in the same timeline."
You have to then again communicate with your client.
Yes.
Understand your own schedule, because now currently I have a bunch of jobs that are going to have me busy until late November. So I can't be accepting any other jobs that are going to tie into that. I have to tell all my clients, hey, no, I'm busy until such and such a time.
Even though the bag is there.
It's then a thing of like weighing your options. Because if I now accept this job and I botch it, it's worse
it's more
for
about
me.
the quality of your work rather than at the end of the day.
Because yes, you want to deliver at a pace that is, I won't say fast.
Healthy.
Yeah, you want to deliver it at a pace that is healthy, but at the same time that produces efficient results, right? But at the same time, you don't want to be like, I'm going to be taking 3 months to work on something that is going to probably take about an hour to finish. So it's now about time. Yes, so it's now about how efficient you are, right, and how your workflow is going to go. I think it's best to treat yourself, it's best to set that kind of mentality, right, within your mind, where you know that if I'm going to be doing this, right, it's going to take me this amount of time. So therefore, I need to start calculating how many breaks am I going to take? Is it going to be 1? Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 3? Etc. Right? Within this amount of time, right? What is the deadline that the client expects me to release it? Or maybe the client is waiting on you, right? The faster, the better, sure. But then you don't want to stress yourself, right? So you need to kind of find that good lock spot.
That's very true.
Yes.
Someone in the Comexposed chat said, I think a very valid thing. They said to this question, I asked, are digital jobs such as being a UX designer and all that stuff, are they viable in Africa, in Zimbabwe? And so their response was, I don't think it's sustainable for the average person in Zim/Africa, as it's still a baby industry. But I feel like it's getting there, and it'll take a lot of time before we get to the point where the Europeans, the Americans, and South Africans are. So my question to this response is, do you think it's a bit of a upper class thing to have a digital job? Because it requires you to speak in English. It requires you to have a laptop or a phone or something like that. And I think it is. It's out of reach for some people,
Yeah, that kind of gets difficult.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier off camera about some grants that...
Oh, yeah.
that only come to Harare, and now they want to move them to places where normally people wouldn't apply.
Yeah.
So I do think it is.
It is still pretty upper class.
It is still a pretty upper class, because we're assuming people have a smartphone, have a tablet, and whatever. You have to have access to all these things, and you have to have access to electricity all the time.
Wi-Fi is expensive.
Wi-Fi is very expensive.
Yeah, so it is still.
It's still very upper class.
Again, with that now, do you think it's going to become more accessible in the future with things like the free trade area moving in to put more e-commerce into the world, things like scripts and bars, etc.
I feel like the best, it is a very poor example, but for us, right, who are currently moving into that kind of era, right, I feel like we should engage with the upcoming generation more, the people who are in high school, right? They should be they should be aware about these kind of opportunities that are happening right now, because back when I was in high school, man, I can't believe I'm saying that, but back when I was in high school,
Actually, dog.
okay, anyways,
You don't even.
yeah. So, I was never really aware of this industry, right? That you can actually make money out of.
Really?
Yeah, I was
in high school.
Yeah, primary and high
Let's
school.
say some high school kids know.
Yeah,
dude,
some high
I
school
knew
kids
in
know.
high
They're
school.
on the
Yeah,
ball.
you guys knew.
I
I
mean, I
didn't.
knew at 6.
How did you know at 6 though?
Because I saw cartoons on the TV. I was like,
I wanna
somebody
be
got
that.
paid to do that. I'm going to get paid to do that.
Yeah, well, I was
Oh,
dumb.
so you knew that they were fake?
I kind of like, because I drew a lot.
Oh,
and I was like,
like-
how do I make mine move?
Yes.
I don't get it. Why is theirs moving? Mine's not. Right?
No, I was a very dumb kid, but
No,
but
okay.
I wouldn't
as
say that.
Yeah.
but I really didn't know that you're capable of making money out of this, and it really didn't, kind of click in, especially with the fact that my mom kind of said that.
Sidebar,
But
sorry. Sidebar. The reason why I knew cartoons were like a job is because my mom was bothered about me watching too many cartoons. So she would point at the screen and be like, I'll watch it, Mario. Like, just, why are you watching this?
You actually made
Make
them
your money, you know?
Yeah, but
So, yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like my mom wasn't really as educated about how the industry is currently working in Africa, because yes, it's not as open, right? Which is kind of a problem, because you now have people like that who now assume that trying to pursue this, right, in this continent is going to be extremely difficult because we don't have the studios for it, we don't have this and that. So I was fairly convinced that this can only be a Western thing, up until I found out about the, kind of Comexposed convention in 2017, and I was like, oh,
Wow.
I can do this here. So yes, I do feel like, informing the masses is kind of another point of like kind of making it viable as a thing in
For the
Africa.
average African, yeah.
No,
Yes.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Someone else gave a bit of input onto like Kudarizi from Studio Soko. Shout out.
Shout out.
K-Rize!
Some interesting input. He said, in terms of the quality of work for Africans, is you have to be really, really good with your communication. You got to be trustworthy, because in every job you have to convince the client to use a payment method they've never used before.
Yes.
Your
that's-
Western Unions, your Payoneer, your MoneyGrams.
Yeah.
Because now they're in the US and they can't just send it to you in EcoCash.
But send it to. Send to.
Send to really. isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there are also other disadvantages that come in, because you have things like PayPal that don't really.
In Africa, it works, but only in certain situations.
Yes,
There
and-
is you can get PayPal out of your FNB account if you're in South Africa. I think in Nigeria also they have PayPal.
Yes, but
you also have Bitcoin ATMs in
Yeah.
Nigeria and South
But
Africa.
you see how
But-
much work the regular Zimbabwean has to.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no way I'm
To
going to a
go through.
Bitcoin ATM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is still quite a bit inaccessible, but for those who do have access to it, it can open a lot of doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Open them wide open.
Yeah. There's more to digital jobs than graphic design, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Everyone is a graphic designer.
Like for me, it's kind of hard, because you can't really tell like your relatives that, oh yeah, I am a concept artist or I am a graphic, because they don't know. They just know graphic designing.
They don't really have to know. You just
Yes.
have to get your checks straight. Like, if you do well, because of the cost of living in this country, if we're being entirely honest, it's quite low compared to other countries.
Yes, it is.
And the cost of buying land, etc., is again quite low compared to other countries.
Yes.
So if you do your stuff consistently as a digital creator, because most of these guys are paying in USD and they're paying upward of, I think the minimum on r/hungry artists on Reddit, the minimum order for any painting is $30. So at the very least, if you're spending like an hour or 2 hours on a painting, you've made $30. And
In a
that's
day.
unfathomable for some people to just draw for 20 for an hour and make
$30.
$30.
So
at the higher levels, at the higher levels of digital art and other, digital jobs, you can get paid, dude,
in the hundreds.
100,000 per year. I think it was that was the minimum for. I was so excited about this. I think I missed the job though. It was a art director for Apex Legends in Montreal or something, or in the US. No, it was in the US for sure. And I was applying, and they said the base salary was like $150,000 per year.
And you're working remotely.
No, you can relocate.
Oh
and
my
they would pay for your relocation.
Imagine if you're earning 150K in my way.
Sure.
Wait, but where was it in the USA? Because I understand that
there were 5 different locations. So like they have a bunch of different studios around the US. I think one was in Texas, one was in 4 other places that are also in the US, which I'm not sure. But the general idea here is that some of these jobs for digital content creators and like designers and all that kind of stuff, they pay extremely well. And if you come from an African country with such a low cost of living, your life gets exponentially better when you do well at these jobs.
Yes. Especially if you are also, because we did say a lot about us as artists, but as an editor, right?
Oh yeah, video editing is amazing.
Oh yeah, no, there's video editing, then there's also I know. There's video editing, then there's also script editing, right? Yeah. You can actually be a remote script editor. I have been that person.
Nice.
If anything, I'm currently working on script editing right now.
Okay.
Right? It is a very viable solution because understand that not everyone can draw, right? And I'm not saying it because,
Everyone should.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Don't say not everyone
drew,
should,
that'd be
okay?
weird.
I mean,
What do we eat?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so not everyone can draw, but there are a lot of people who are very creative with our words, right?
Yeah, creativity goes beyond just drawing.
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely.
of course. There are a lot of people who are very creative with their job. So, it is possible for you as a script writer, as a script editor, or in any kind of writing kind of thing to actually get a job. And trust me, they pay.
Wait. Before we wrap it up, because we are running out of time quite a bit here, I would like to say, on the note of they pay, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've noticed in my years as a freelancer that in Zimbabwe our client base is sometimes a bit ambitious with their ideas, which don't match their budgets because people aren't aware of what it costs to make these things.
Education.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like sometimes you have people wanting a riot level animation for $50 and it just doesn't. It doesn't translate, Yes. And I think a lot of education would be necessary to get everyone to a point where we understand these things, not only as the creators, but as the consumers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a good market for everyone. Because guys, the things we've heard is
pay your people.
So someone said their first job out of uni was being an illustrator for some vectors, and they've never installed Illustrator in years because of that. They're traumatized. They're like, I'm done. We need to stop stressing our people.
So guys, we'll put the links for
those sites
Yeah,
in case
that
you
big
are
thing,
a creative watching this and you want to kind of do the thing.
And remember, creative doesn't mean drawing only.
Yes, you can also do writing, UI, UX, marketing, influencing, etc. Yeah. Comment section, guys.
Tell us, what do you do for a living? Are you a digital creator? Are you analog? Do
Are you
work?
Full-time, part-time?
Yeah.
Freelancer? Is it working for you?
What's your life like? What's up?
So until next time, we see you. That's creepy.